All right. Let's go on to our next pick. AJ Hoffman.
I made a last-minute
Which of my picks are you?
change.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, dear.
I'm going Houston Texans under 6.5. And kind of the opposite of Scott, where it's gone from perfect, where the market's gone.
That's me, baby.
It's gone down, 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 and now Scott's buying low. I've waited for the market to go up, up, up. The market's bullish on the Texans.
Why did you think it was going up?
I think the market's bullish on the new coach, which they should be. But to go from 7 wins in the last 2 seasons to having to win 7 games this season, I think it's too much of a jump for a franchise that's had massive turnover year over year. And a rookie quarterback with no wide receiving options. The best wide receiver they traded out, Brandon Cooks. So now Robert Woods is a number 1 wide receiver. I mean, they're not setting C.J. Stroud up for success. D'Amico Ryans, I do think, is going to have success long term, but I don't think it's instantaneous. So, and I think to jump them up to 7 wins this season is too much of an ask.
I think this is a good pick. I like this.
Defense. There's people saying top 10 defense.
Possibly.
So, I mean, when you look, I mean, you're more familiar with this team. I know there's been a lot of turnover. When you look at the defense, how optimistic are you? And last year, let's look at the Football Outsiders. I think their D was pretty good last year.
I'll check that. I'll check their DVOA. But the defense is on the rise, certainly. But they're all young. Yep. They're all first, second, third-year guys. Which
that means you get better.
Sure.
You
but
know, the rule of 1, if I take the season win up and down 1, it makes this look like a really good pick, I think. Because if you told me Houston's season win number was 5.5, I'd be like, I'm okay with that. Doesn't seem.
And that's what it opened at, was 5.5.
That doesn't seem that crazy. But if you told me it was 7.5, it's like, you're out of your effing mind. This is an 8-9 team?
Well, here's the question, though. What was Jacksonville's win? I mean, Jacksonville had the number 1 pick 2 years in a row. Then they made the playoffs. These rebuilds in the NFL don't take a long. It's not like the NBA. It's a 4-year. Now, Houston's dragged it out in a weird way.
Jacksonville was 6.6 was their season win last year.
That was the close?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean.
That makes your point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But that wasn't Trevor Lawrence's rookie year.
Well, after Trevor, the optimism on Trevor Lawrence after year 1 was a lot lower than it was entering year 1.
Sure.
So, I mean, in general, it was like a worse than a rookie or worse than Trevor Lawrence. All I know is this. Houston's going to do anything they need to, no matter, steal, beg, borrow, lawyers, guns, and money. They're not going to give the 2nd pick or the 3rd pick to Arizona.
Yeah.
That will be literally clear the house of everyone that was involved in that pick. It's time for you to go home. And
after 1 year on the job,
whatever. I mean, what I hear is there was real consternation, and it was like a negotiated piece. Hey, because here's the thing about D'Amico Ryans. He's running the San Francisco defense, which is it's a version, if I'm not mistaken, of this, the cover, what was it, the Tampa 3 or the Tampa 2. It's more of a takeoff of the Seattle defense, in which you got to have good D linemen. I mean, look at the 49ers, right? They spent all their money on the D line on defense, or not all, but they got a great middle linebacker. But the point is, you need to have that line. He said, this is my guy on the line, and they made a crazy trade to get that 2nd pick after Stroud, or the 2nd pick, 3rd pick overall after Stroud. But I think if it gets to be late and they're thinking, okay, we got 4 wins, let's say, and there's 3 games left, they're going to be playing so hard when pop up the end of the season. I hope they play some tanking. Like, they play 1 or 2 tanking
They
teams.
play Tennessee twice in week 15 and 17.
Ooh, Tennessee. Now, I'm always Vrabel, more optimistic.
Then
but
at Indy, week 18.
Okay. That's interesting, because Indy's going to get better, I think, as the year goes on. But that's not a hard. Let's look at this schedule. Oh, they got Arizona. Oh, that's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah. A lot on the line.
You take the ball. Take the ball.
Those seem a lot easier than what Kansas City has to play.
Yeah, let's look at this. Baltimore's a tough one. Indianapolis early. I like that. Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Atlanta. Boy, that's interesting. New Orleans, Carolina, Tampa,
They play all the NFC South games in a row.
Cincy's a tough game. Arizona, Jacksonville, Denver, Jets, Tennessee, Cleveland, Tennessee, Indiana. This is the easiest schedule I've ever seen. Like, you're right, Fez. How many games do they have with one of the bottom 5 teams? And Kansas City has none, right? So,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy.
And they get the bottom teams twice, like in Indy. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You know what? Let's correlate this to our long shots. Houston to win the division.
Then again, Indy right now, when we analyze his Indy schedule, we're like, well, they get Houston twice.
No, it's true, but the theory is if you only need to win 7 games, this is 7 of 17. Right? You can lose 10 of them. Now I hear you. Listen, I like it a lot more at 5.5, no doubt.
Right.
And I think you're doing a good job. I'm coming in late because there's no VIG. I wouldn't want to lay the VIG on this, but I hear people talking about division. Like, seriously. But I'm hearing people talking about Indianapolis. Jacksonville's overrated.
I agree with that.
Yes.
And I think they just lost.
I still think they're the best team in the division, but I think they're overrated.
I think if you did nothing but fade rookie quarterbacks their first year, it's close, but you wind up winning if you play unders.
Fez, we know you're going to say play under no matter what. Even if they pound balls, you want them to play out. You play under. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Seems to be a theme. Yeah.
I mean, but in general, here's the division. Now, this is interesting. Look at the respect the Colts are getting. Wouldn't you have said the Colts and the Texans were in the same kind of category entering the year?
No, I think Anthony Richardson's a wild card.
I think he might have a higher basement than people think.
And it's funny because we're talking about one team having an Ohio State quarterback in C.J. Stroud, the other one having Anthony Richardson, who I think could be similar to Justin Fields in that even if everything else is a disaster, he can just run away with the football and make something happen. Mm-hmm. I think that's a benefit. While he grows, I don't know if that helps anything for his long term, but I think in the short term he can cover up being terrible by running the football.
Well, the theory, and this is serious research, like this is what the sharpest people believe. If you don't have the ability to run, it's very hard to come into the NFL with the Tom Brady-esque pocket ability fully formed, that you're going to have a learning curve inevitably, and the only way to overcome that is by running the first 2 years.
How'd Purdy do it?
Again, this is the Shanahan love. Is it, how did I'm having a mental block. Who was the guy that he had the most yards after 100?
Nick Mullins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, I don't know. I mean, I've never seen Shanahan's offense actually. I mean, I guess you could say Atlanta and Matt Ryan had one of the best years in 16, the last 10.
Yeah, but he was touted as being, so NFL ready.
Who are we talking about?
Matt Ryan, when you're talking
No, he wasn't a rookie. We're talking about Shanahan's ability to rise up mediocre quarterbacks, but does it cause a B quarterback to become an A? Mm-hmm. I think the Matt Ryan year is the 1 year Schaub was pretty deep. I mean, again, he wasn't the coordinator in Houston, was he, or was he?
He became the coordinator, but he started out as a quarterback coach.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got a long history of bringing guys up. We just haven't seen Shanahan bring a guy to elite, at least more than the 1 year. Because if I'm not mistaken, Shanahan was there in 15, and Matt Ryan struggled. I remember Malinsky was really down on Atlanta in 16 because he said Matt Ryan's getting older, and Shanahan there needs to be movement in the quarterback. That was the assumption at the time in that offense, and they didn't think Matt Ryan was ready for that. He was getting too old for it. But in 16, he was amazing. Yeah, that was a Super Bowl year. Was Kyle there in 15?
Yeah, they went 8-8 as his first year in Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah. But, a quarterback, wins are not an offensive coordinator stat.
But Super Bowl losses are.
Well, no. I mean, I've never said that.
But that's also another thing that I sort of dislike about the Texans this season is C.J. Stroud's not a runner. So being forced to be a passing quarterback with poor wide receivers, it makes me feel like it's going to be a bigger learning curve for a guy like C.J. Stroud, but at least early.
But processing, he's much more ready than
no doubt.
So, I mean, Mac Jones, in theory, was super ready, though he's not a runner. He had one of the best rookie years of the last 10 years. He just did.
Yep.
Now his second year was horrible. Now, what happens, right? This is interesting. Would you agree, Fez, you're hearing a lot of positive things about Houston?
Oh, absolutely. And that's reflected in the greater marketplace.
I think you're right.
And I've heard guys I respect throw out they can win the division. Yeah.
Part of it is I just don't want AJ's would you say toxic disdain for all the Houston teams?
At least there's a reason he's barred for life.
By the way, the Texans offensive coordinator has been under Shanahan for the past several years. He was the passing game coordinator in San Francisco.
Boy, they're digging deep to get guys right.
I want to ask you, all of you guys, we never talk about this. So you get a quarterback that obviously won all his games in high school, extremely successful in college, and now all of a sudden,
Josh Allen.
And now, that's true, Wyoming. And then then he shows up, and instead of winning, going 9-1, you blink and he's 2-7. And that's got to be a culture change or a shock almost.
Well, that's what Trevor Lawrence went through. Remember, Trevor Lawrence didn't lose football games, and then he got to the NFL and he lost every one.
I think he's going to have a hell of a year this year. That's my prediction.